Green Janine with Toss50.com, the other side of 50. I'm here again at the Barrier Island Center in South Melbourne Beach, Florida, with Ray Mojica, who is the manager here of the center. Welcome, Ray.
Welcome, thank you.
In our last video, we talked about sea turtles, and now Ray's going to tell us a bit about human impacts on sea turtles and what we can do to help.
Well, there are, again, we're standing right in the middle of the Archie Carr Refuge here, which was set aside to protect sea turtle nesting beaches. So the first threat I want to talk about is just that there are beaches that turtles have historically nested on that are being impacted by human development. So people build seawalls and put other structures onto the beach. It affects the beach dynamics, and it basically restricts a turtle's ability to nest there. Here within the Archie Carr Refuge, there are very strict rules. For example, our center is built back 100 feet from the dune, and we have maintained a healthy dune system. One of the things that everybody can do, no matter where they live, is to make sure that they protect the dune system. That ecosystem protects structures that are landward of the dune system, and it's important for having a healthy natural beach. So wherever you are, if you go to the Gulf Coast of Florida or to the east coast of Florida where sea turtles nest, look around and you'll see a lot of those beaches that are not healthy beaches have seawalls and man-made structures. So that's one of the things that we can do, is to make those choices while we're developing properties on the beach. One of the other big threats that we see to sea turtles are lighting related. So sea turtles, when they're coming up to nest, they're very sensitive to light. So if you have lights on your home and they're shining on the beach, or if you're walking on the beach with a flashlight, you can alter their behavior. You can scare them. A nesting female can be spooked, go back into the water, and release her eggs into the surf, basically ruining that entire clutch. So what we try to do here is we try to get people to join organized sea turtle walks, like we offer here at the center in June and July. We start taking reservations on May 1st for those sea turtle walks. And you go out with a certified guide and scouts, and they find a sea turtle that you can then approach safely without impacting its behavior. The other issue with lighting is people who have homes on the beach, and they leave their blinds open and the lights are shining right on the beach. And that affects the adults that are nesting, but it also affects the juveniles as they hatch out of the nest. So a lot of times when they hatch out of the nest, normally they would go towards what they perceive as light shining off the ocean, either starlight or moonlight shining off the ocean. They're cued towards that visual cue, that light. But when they see lights on in somebody's house in the other direction, they'll be confused, and often they will walk towards the road, towards the highway, and get disoriented. So in this part of Florida, we have very strict regulations about lighting on the beach and how they might impact sea turtles. So that's the first thing, again, was the seawalls. Second thing is lighting. The third thing I wanted to talk about was marine debris. Leatherbacks, and to a lesser extent some of the other species, will eat jellyfish, or when they're small they'll eat lots of little things floating around on the surface. Things like balloon, plastic shopping bags, water bottles, little pieces of plastic that degrade and wind up in our oceans. Sea turtles will digest these things and will often choke and wind up starving to death because of these things. So one simple thing that you can do is just to make sure that, you know, if you have those plastic bags, or better yet, don't use those plastic bags. Use recyclable cloth bags when you go grocery shopping. Make sure that all of your plastic waste is going into proper receptacles. It's a relatively simple thing that we can all do to keep the beaches clean. One of the things we do here is we do regular beach cleanups with local citizens and visitors to make sure that as much of that marine debris, while we have access to it, we can pull off of our beaches and hopefully keep out of the mouths of sea turtles.
Ray, what has the impact then of the oil spill on the sea turtles?
In the Gulf of Mexico, their big concern is there's a lot of rafting oil. There's a lot of oil at the surface, and some of it's in small tar balls. And like I just mentioned with the marine debris, juvenile turtles they can't tell that apart from something that might be edible to them. So they will ingest little bits of oil. So that could potentially kill them. Adults will get covered, and if their softer tissues get covered with oil, that could pose a toxicity issue with them. What we're doing now is we're working with federal, state, and nonprofit organizations to relocate nests from the Gulf of Mexico and release them here in the Archie Carr Refuge. So when the nests are, say, 45 days in the ground, about 15 days away from hatching, they will pull those eggs out of the ground, put them in coolers, drive them here to the East Coast. Once they hatch out of those eggs, we'll release them into the water here, increasing their chances for survival. We are in the early planning stages for what to do if oil makes it around Peninsula Florida to the East Coast beaches here. So we've been working closely with the Coast Guard and federal officials to map out a plan, a strategy for how do you keep oil off of these beaches. And how do you do it in such a way that you're not impacting the hundreds of thousands of baby turtles that are going to very soon going to be leaving these beaches and heading out into the ocean looking for foraging grounds. So it's a tough balancing act. Fortunately, the Coast Guard seems very amenable to hearing our input on what the potential impacts to sea turtles are. And of course, our fingers are crossed that we don't have to deal with oil on our beaches like they have on the Gulf Coast.
Thank you, Ray.
You're welcome.